Andy Keeney is here this evening. And Andy, tonight is the first one of Andy's new segments. And it's called Andy's Op Corner. And it's about model railroad operation. So with that said, Andy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Jim?
I can, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you. How many, well, let's see how many people I can view here, gallery view. How many people here are into operation? Just raise your hand if you would. Are operators. How many are not operators and are interested in learning operations? So there's a few. Okay, what I'm doing tonight is just to get us going on operations, and I would think there's probably going to be people watching this on YouTube at a later date that it might be helpful. It's very, very basic to start with, and then we're going to get into it deeper from there. And we had a mix-up on when I was going to present this. So at about 5 o'clock this evening, I ran downstairs and I put this PowerPoint together. So I was working it over in my mind for next Wednesday. I knew what I wanted to say, but I just wanted to put it in a PowerPoint. So I'm going to do share screen.
Those good glue containers.
And okay, I'm gonna get everybody up the top here. Okay, so why operations? Tonight just going to be a getting your feet wet, just to start thinking about it if you haven't done operations, why you might enjoy it, why you might want to consider it. And I've got 15 minutes here to be truthful. It depends on how slow I talk. We'll see how many minutes it's going to take to go through this. I have about a dozen slides here. So there's only one reason railroads exist, and that is to move materials, products, and people from origin to destination. That in a nutshell is operations, but it's also a lot more than just that. And we plan on covering all these different aspects of operations through the months. I'm going to put one 15-minute program on each month. So model railroad operations is basically, it's a challenge for the operator, the layout owner, to have his model railroad operate similar to the real railroads using whatever rules and procedures he'd like to use. Just some questions right off the bat for someone that knows nothing about operations. And this is something that we take for granted if we're operators. We know the answer, but a lot of people have no idea. They want to know how big the railroad has to be able to get any kind of operations, and it really is any size. I have a friend that has a small layout, and he's basically the only one that's going to operate, but he's going to do operations. How many operators must it accommodate? Here again, just you, or depending on the size of your railroad, as many people as you can fit. On my railroad, it's usually up around 20 people. And when we add the passenger operations, it probably add about another 4 people. What kind of track design is required? That's another thing. A lot of people think they have to have a pretty fancy track design and designed and built strictly for operations, but that's not true. If you have a layout, even if it's a loop, a large loop, say, and it goes through a town, and you've got some sidings for customers and that, you can set up some basic operations using that layout, and you can actually do quite a bit, and we'll get into that more later on, not tonight, but later on, how you can start operations. So what kind of railroad equipment? Well, if you've got an operating railroad with just locomotives of cars and that loop of track with the sidings and that, you're good to go. And there's a lot more than one way to run a railroad. You can run your railroad very loosely. And everybody has a good time, just kind of operates on their own on your railroad, to the model railroad where it's actually running like a real railroad, and there's rules, procedures, and you've got to follow them. And if you don't, you're going to be harassed or kidded, teased. It happens to all of us, but you'll come away from that feeling like you ran on the railroad for a day, and it can get stressful, but it's stressful in a good way, and you'll learn. And it can be a lot of fun. So how can you learn more about railroad operations? Right here on the Ops Corner, Randy's Ops Corner, if you would. Each month I plan on doing one. And there's probably sometimes when Jim can give me a little more time and we can delve into certain areas deeper. It shows here my internet connection unstable, so let me know if you have any problem with me. Opsig is Operations Special Interest Group. There's a layout design SIG, and it's pretty deep, but they also teach it, and it's a good group to belong to. They have quarterly publication in color. You can also get it on the internet as an easy electronic magazine. And the price, I don't have it right offhand, but it's not very much. And Eric Smith, who is the editor, and he also runs an Opsig Zoom program every other Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I'm going to have Eric on sometime in the near future to discuss Opsig and let you know what they do and what they can do for you, especially if you're getting into operations. There's also quite a bit of operations information on the web, and that includes YouTube. There's some nice ones, and I'm going to get some links for you at a later time. So those that are interested can check into that stuff. And then any of us that own a railroad and we have operations on that railroad, the majority of us love to have new people come and operate with us. You don't have to be experienced. We'll teach you as you go. We'll give you, we'll put you with an experienced person, and you'll work with them for the day. And if you come back, if you're ready, you can go on your own or work with somebody else until you feel comfortable. We're always happy to get more operators available, and most of us really enjoy teaching. So future operations presentations, there's so many things we can get into, from the rules and procedures to how you get a train across the railroad with timetable and train orders, CTC, ABS, signaling. CTC is centralized traffic control, automatic block systems, ABS. And there's just a lot of others, and it changes through the era. So a lot of things are being done by radio now. And I must point out, I'm no expert on any of this. These are things that I've learned over time, and I've enjoyed. My passion's operations, therefore I enjoy talking about it, teaching it, and learning more about it. And the thing that I want to do with these different programs is to just present these different facets of the operations hobby, and let you understand a little bit better about them. So it might pique your interest and get you involved in that. So questions or thoughts for the future? I would be very happy to answering questions that I get from people, or if you have any thoughts on what I can do, what I can present that you and others would enjoy, you can send that to me through Jim, or I can get my email to you at a later time here. But that's basically it, Jim, for today. Does anybody have any questions? I'll turn the screen back over. I didn't want to get into anything too deep. I just wanted to give you an opening. This is what I would like to give to people that have no knowledge or experience of operations, so they can see where we can go with it.
I do have a thought. And Andy, that was a
Yes,
great
sir.
presentation. Really nice.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. When it comes
Thank
to
you.
operations,
Edward, you had, oh, I'm sorry.
no, no, go ahead. Let the question go first.
Joe, you're starting to,
My question is sort of like the
Joe, did you have something? I think you locked up, Joe.
Did I? Let the questions go first. Those are more important.
Go ahead, Ed.
all right.
Ed, were you trying,
Yeah, I was wondering about the history of operations, more like in the mid 1800s.
oh, yeah, we can get into that. And here, again, I'm definitely no expert in that. I can basically tell you, well, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, most of you probably do, the time zones, which we were talking about earlier, came about because of the railroads. At one time, every town had its own 12 o'clock high, and it went by its own clock, and railroads were having a lot of accidents trying to run the trains by time. So they had the the federal government in some way and had the time zones created, so everybody would be on the same clock for a larger area, which made it a lot safer for the railroads and the passengers, everybody involved. But I'd be happy to get into that. And Joe, did you have something? Oh, TC.
Yeah, the time zone, the President's Conference on Time, which was railroad presidents, not the US president. The first time zones were only used by the railroads. After that, they worked it out with that kind of a convention kind of idea. It wasn't, and that, I think even that was after the Civil War. So if you're talking 1800s, 1870s, there were no time zones, no timetables, and most railroads didn't use the telegraph to pass train orders. It was a mess.
Yeah,